Welcome, all fellow wannabes. Welcome to the show. I am Gabriel Fast. I am one of your hosts. You are listening to the Wannabe Critic podcast, and I'm checking to make sure that I'm recording because I get kind of paranoid whenever I'm not sure if I'm going to be able, if I'm recording, but we're good. Okay. I am joined for somewhat of an impromptu episode by one Caleb Henley from New York. Caleb, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
What did we decide your nickname was? Wasn't it the Ginger? Caleb the Ginger joins us from New York.
Are you just trying to be mean, making me say it about myself? That's kind of messed up.
I mean, I got to tear you down so I can build you up. You know what I mean? And then we are also joined by one Mikey Collins, the critical one. How's it going, bro?
Going good.
It's going good. So, yeah, as usual. Gentlemen, thank you for, kind of spur of the moment agreeing to this episode. It's kind of out of the norm for what we usually do. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But we do have some very interesting news to get into tonight, ladies and gentlemen, regarding our podcast, regarding Wannabe Critic Productions, just, some interesting things to kind of get into tonight, as well as some news headlines. So we're gonna have a nice little entertaining show for you tonight. Before we do, though, we want to get into some housekeeping. You can go over to wannabecritic.com to check out our various projects. A Guy and His Wife has a new episode up. That's me and my wife Emma. We're reviewing Thor. That's like our journey, our once a month episode through the MCU. You can check out our Thor review. Also, the Crosscode review is up on Wannabe Critic Productions' YouTube channel, as well as a more broad discussion over on the YouTube channel for the podcast, which is the Wannabe Critic Podcast. Also, on the 20th, the Bastion review that me and Jace did a couple of weeks ago, I haven't mentioned on the podcast, but it will be dropping for Game Club as well on the Wannabe Critic, Podcast YouTube channel. So definitely check those things out. But gentlemen, Caleb, how have you been? It's been a couple of weeks since we spoke. How are you?
I can't think of anything off the back to complain about. So
that's good. Yeah, that's good. I mean, well, is there anything positive that's been happening in your life? You got any more than platinum trophies? I mean, what's been going on?
No, I definitely haven't been able to do anything like that yet. So yeah, nothing too crazy actually.
Nothing too crazy. Well, I hear that. Yeah, life is busy. Life just tends to get a little busy. But Mikey, what about you? What have you been doing the past couple of weeks?
Just playing games and yeah, that's pretty much it, and working.
Yeah, same old. Yeah, I kind of, I vibe with you guys. Like, I haven't really been. I just got a text from Caleb. It says, "Are you echoing, Caleb, or am I echoing?"
I'm echoing.
You're echoing?
Yeah.
Like every time you talk?
Yeah.
That's
very
weird.
Slightly.
Very slightly. Oh, I bet you can hear it through someone's headphones or something. It happens to me sometimes too. I hope it doesn't throw you off as much.
Just making sure our audio is at the highest quality for the listeners.
Yeah, I think we should be good. I think it should be fine. But thank you. That's a good catch. So I haven't really been doing too much, just been working on various projects for Game Club and stuff like that. Trying to get a couple of new things going. And, I feel like that is probably a good segue into kind of what we wanted to talk about for the meat of the show, which is kind of what the Wannabe Critic podcast is going to be moving forward. Now, those of you who have followed us for any period of time, you know that me and Jace started this whole thing with Geekly Biweekly. We wanted to start a podcast. We wanted to turn the microphones on. We wanted to make this thing happen. And we did for a while, and then things just kind of got a little bit crazy, and we weren't able to do it anymore. But I really enjoyed it. I thought I could do this for real. And that's kind of where the Wannabe Critic came from. And then, lo and behold, people, start helping me with it. Caleb, you were there, kind of for the resurrection of the Wannabe Critic. Also, Mikey, joining in more recently in the past few months. There's been a level of consistency that I've been really proud of, and I've been proud to call you guys teammates. And, it's been a nice kind of rotating cast of people to have on. So, what we're going to be doing, ladies and gentlemen, is basically what the Wannabe Critic podcast is going to be turning into. And I'm glad that you guys are here. That's really the reason I wanted to talk about this, kind of go through it. the Wannabe Critic podcast is, for the most part, we're still going to do whatever we want, because I think that's kind of where it comes from, is the idea that we can talk about whatever we want, and if you listen to it and you enjoy it and you vibe with it, that's awesome. Like, we want that feedback. We want you to interact with us. Like, we love to talk. For the most part, this is going to be, kind of really leaning into that critical aspect, the critic aspect of, we want to review stuff. This chemistry has really turned, it keeps getting better and better. And, we wanted to go into some kind of uncharted territory in some ways and kind of continue the format we've been doing. So we wanted to just kind of let you know that as we're phasing out the Fast and the Furious, series, I don't know if the listeners had ever really wondered, like, okay, well, what's next? I think what we agreed on just in our production meetings and stuff was, like, as one series begins to fade out, we should usher in a new series. And before, we had been getting together only about once a month to be able to record our reviews and stuff like that. But we will be changing the format of our show. So our reviews are actually going to be, one will be pre-recorded, and then we're going to try and go, like, concurrently. We'll be doing a movie and a TV show. So our TV shows, there's a really good chance that it's going to be, pre-recorded. But our movie reviews are going to be on a bi-weekly basis. So, you might get, like, a little bit of the news headlines, and then we'll get into the meat of our reviews for movies and stuff like that as time goes on. So as we're phasing out the Fast and the Furious, our next project that we're going to be working on is going to be the old Spider-Man movies from the early 2000s. So starting next week, actually, we'll be, the rest of the Fast and the Furious franchise will be, posting as you're used to. But we're going to be doing a bi-weekly show where we do a movie review, basically. And, in the weeks in between, you'll be getting other content that we're about to talk about right now. So, Caleb, I wanted to throw it to you, man. What do you think about this change? Like, I mean, we kind of brought, me and Mikey we had kind of all talked about this, but, like, obviously, you've kind of been here. You kind of were here from the resurrection, as I said before. Are you excited about this moving forward?
Oh, yeah. I think it'll be good. I think it's going to bring some variety to the channel, too, which I think is always kind of a good thing. It's tough. Sometimes you can get kind of stuck in one specific, like, genre or topic or thing, and things get stale really quick. But
yeah,
bouncing around to where we'll be doing a bunch of different stuff, I think it'll be good for the listeners. It'll be good for us too, because it's gonna just keep building our like our interchange and our comfortableness with each other. But it'll be really good for the listeners too. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think, like, the rapport, is kind of gonna be a little bit different. And not only are we going to be doing our reviews bi-weekly and kind of inserting what we found in the news to be interesting, because it's not going to be that thing of, okay, we're recording something way ahead of time and, scheduling out. It's going to be, okay, the day after we record it, the episode's coming out, or even the night that we recorded it, that thing's coming out, and that's going to be a little bit of a change for sure. But I think it's going to be good, like you said, kind of just change some things up. But in addition to that, on the weeks in between, not only are we going to have, a scheduled review, but Mikey and myself, and sometimes Caleb, if he can make it, on the weeks that he can't, make it, me and Mikey are going to basically cover in the news beats of, the in-between weeks between our reviews, which is going to be kind of a nice change to kind of cover the overall, like, what we found funny in the week and stuff like that. And I think there was kind of a passion that kind of got kindled for that whenever I was doing, like, I did an episode of the Wannabe Roundup is what I called it on my YouTube channel. And then, I did it a few months ago, and I was like, man, this is fun. I wish I could talk about more news heavy stuff in the podcast, but we don't have a show that's conducive to that type of content. So it's nice to kind of have variety coming in, and I'm happy to have you along. But Mikey, what are your thoughts, man? Are you happy about where this podcast is going?
Not at all. I hate it. I can't believe. No, nice. Yeah, I think it's good. Change is always good, always growing.
Yeah, always trying to change some stuff up. So that being said, just to kind of recap that particular part of it, we have, you're going to be getting news from now on pretty much every week. I mean, there's going to be some weeks where we take a week off, or if it's a slow news week, we'll be like, it's not really worth talking about. Maybe we'll, do something else. But essentially, you'll probably be getting around 2 podcasts a week, give or take, which is going to be a nice little, content bump and kind of a morale booster, which will be cool. But as far as, our main movie reviews from the core Wannabe Critic cast, we have a lot of stuff incoming. Like as I said before, we're going to start with the Spider-Man movies. So Spider-Man, like 1, 2, 3, and 4. As well as our Clone Wars reviews. Those are the ones that we're going to be reviewing, concurrently with the Spider-Man stuff. We already have a few seasons of that recorded, so that's going to be kind of our pre-recorded show. We won't be talking about, what we've been up to and stuff like that in those shows. It'll be pretty straightforward and stuff like that. I think we're going to, after Spider-Man is done, and I'm not going to give you guys the entire slate, but after the earlier Spider-Mans are done, we're going to go to the Amazing Spider-Man. 1 and 2 will be one review. That'll be interesting to review both of those movies, and then we're gonna go into the X-Men movies after that. So that's kind of a theme we talked about. It's kind of like a wannabe review, or a review of the wannabe MCU a little bit. So that'll be a fun little project. I'm looking forward to that one. A couple of things, and I don't know if you guys know about this. If I've talked about, I say you guys, I'm talking about Mikey and Caleb. We have a couple of new shows coming, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't know if you guys are going to be able to, if you want to join in, you obviously can. We've been recording episodes of our reviews of The Office in the background, ready to go. You're going to be able to expect those dropping in August. Every first week and last week of the month, you'll be getting Office reviews at some point during the middle of the week. We're really excited to talk about that, as well as announcing a anime review show segment, whatever you want to call it, little mini show called The Midnight Run. So definitely, I think, Mikey, we talked about it. We talked about doing Avatar, right? Yeah, Avatar and some other stuff, Cowboy Bebop and things like that. So that'll be a really cool, a really cool thing to do. But kind of rounding out, the overall announcements for the show moving forward. This is something that I wanted to kind of get done as soon as possible. That way, we could just kind of have it established, what the listeners can expect and things like that, which has been cool. As I said before in the outset, the Wannabe Critic podcast is going to become just that. We're going to have people on all the time talking about what we, shows we like, movies we like. Obviously Game Club is going to be kind of reserved for the more game-heavy topics, like, me and Caleb are going to be going through Horizon. I think a group of us are going to be going through Jedi Fallen Order. Like, it's going to all be kind of in the spirit of the Wannabe Critic thing, of what we've been doing. But borderline, there's going to be things in here. It's all about giving your opinion and being happy with your opinion. So that's kind of what I'm proud to do moving forward with you guys, is kind of establishing that whole thing. And I'm excited to take this journey with you guys. So this show is whatever we want it to be, you know what I mean? But for the most part, it's going to be reviewing stuff, which I think is a lot, how fun. I have a question for you guys. How hard has it been to give your opinion when you're going into like a sensitive subject, or you're going into like the Fast and the Furious movies and stuff like that? How do you feel like it's gotten easier to kind of give your opinion as time has gone on with these movies that we've watched, or do you think that these opinions have kind of always been deep seated or things like that? Caleb, I want to throw it to you.
For me, I don't super care about giving my opinion. I think it's because it's just the three of us and we're all comfortable with each other. And I know there's more people listening to us, but I'm not really thinking about that while the three of us are talking and doing a podcast. Since we can only see each other, we can't see the audience. I don't really care about necessarily what my certain opinion is on a movie, because I don't know, it's not that important in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, totally.
So I don't super care if I offend somebody over some Star Wars take that I have, or I don't even know how I could offend somebody that's a super Fast and Furious nerd, because, like, I don't know, it's just so weird. It's like, what are they going to do? Like, just harass me in Twitter comments? I mean, that's literally the worst thing they could do.
Yeah.
So bring it. It's whatever. I don't care.
I love that. And it is funny because That's what's so great about being a wannabe and just saying, like, you know what, like, this is my opinion, and if you think you're some, like, opinion god or something like that, like, come, like, exactly what you said, like, harass me on Twitter, whatever, I don't care. Mikey, what about you? I mean, you've always been we've ever since we were young, you know, we've always been kind of opinionated, or very heavily opinionated. Like, how has it been to kind of get behind the microphones and, like, vocalize that? Because we call you the critical one for a reason, and we give you a lot of crap about stuff.
Yeah, you might. I don't know. It's nice for me because, like, I don't give my opinion to people, like, in groups. I'm usually pretty quiet around people. So, like, doing this is a good vent for me, and it lets me let loose.
I'm the same way, though. I feel that exact same way. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, in a group of people, I don't want to, you know, bring any attention to myself and my stupid opinions. But this, it's like, let's just let it all out there.
Yeah.
Let it all hang out.
Let it all hang out. Get all of it. Yeah, I feel the exact same way. And I think, you know, there's definitely been...
You don't feel the same way.
No, I feel the same way about letting it all hang out. You know what I mean? But
Okay,
it's been one of those things of, like...
It's literally just 100% of the time, though, not just on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It's even more so on the podcast. But I feel like... I don't know. It's weird because I feel like the podcast has even... There's a level of, like, being on, I think, whenever you're trying to run a show, that I feel like I'm less inclined to give my opinion just in the general, you know, discussion. It's like, feels like I'm really, like, heated in the moment, mostly behind a microphone, which has kind of been a good portion of my time at this point, you know. But it is weird how sometimes those tendencies do tend to bleed over. But it's funny, like, we've been podcasting so much, we have so much content out there now. Even with the YouTube stuff, it's like I don't find myself having to feel the need to voice my opinion just in general conversation to whoever, unless I'm asked. It's been one of those things. It's like, okay, I was on for the podcast. I was on for the 3 or 4 podcasts we did this week. I don't feel the need to go on, or not go on Twitter, but go, you know, like, look for trouble in a conversation. It's like, I just want to be quiet and listen. You know what I mean? Like, just like the places where we attend, you know, our weekly religious services and things like that. It's like hearing the conversations, and obviously, you know, Zoom has made that possible. Hearing the conversations and just hearing people go back and forth. It's been one of those things like, oh, that's what I've been missing out on for the past 24 years, is like actually observing and listening, and which is nice because whenever you can hang back and kind of do that observation and listening and, like, kind of observing, then you can, like, bring that to the table almost to the show, and, like, kind of you're looking at things and thinking about things differently, which has been I think that's what they call maturing. So, you know, that's been kind of the goal. But it is kind of funny how, you know, the podcast has turned in, or, you know, just Wannabe Critic Productions has turned into this thing of, okay, we want to make this for real. So, like, a lot of my brain power is geared towards networking now and trying to, you know, get in touch with people to get on the show and do things. And it's like, that's taken up so much of my time the past 3, 4, 5 months that it's really kind of changed me just as a person in a lot of ways. I mean, if you're going to ask me my opinion, you know, you're going to get a hot take, a really good chance you're going to get a hot take, and that is what it is. But I feel less inclined to give those takes unless I'm asked now, off mic. So, I'm really happy with where the show is, though. I love being in control and saying, okay, like, this is what we're doing. Like, this is what we're doing for the next 6, 7, 8 months, and it's going to be fun, and, like, we're going to have a good time doing it, and it's going to be the exact same thing that we've done before, but, you know, more structured and more concise, which has been nice. I will tell the listeners, you know, we do have a Mandalorian episode planned to do, kind of like reviewing the first episode, or not the first episode, the first season, kind of going back to it, and wherever we are in our, you know, as one series is getting faded out, you'll kind of know what's upcoming and what's going to come next. And whenever we know when the Mandalorian drops, you know, we'll probably be more inclined to kind of just freeze wherever we're at in our current review schedule, you know, to make like a season 1 in review happen, while as, you know, kind of keeping a weekly review schedule of whenever those, you know, whenever that Mandalorian schedule drops, we'll know, we'll plan accordingly, and we'll just freeze wherever we're at. And then after the Mandalorian's over, we'll pick up where we were before and continue on in our reviews. So I just wanted to say that really quick because I forgot to put it in the notes. But anyways, big things happening at the show. Lots going on. It's going to be great. I'm excited to have you guys helping me and agreeing to do this. And who knows, might even have some cool guests on for some specific episodes. So, you guys have anything you wanted to add to that? I can hear your dog, Mikey. Is that your dog? He's a chonky boy.
That's my big one. A grown one. He likes to, if he's not getting attention, he'll just go for like 20 minutes. Until you look at him or pet him. It's ridiculous.
He's a little attention deprived. But do you guys have anything you wanted to add to that? Just the overall conversation before we move on to the news, or did we pretty much get it all?
No, I'm just looking forward to all the stuff we got coming up.
Dope. Yeah, I am too. I think it's going to be fun. I think, people are, I don't know, I think you as listeners, we obviously, no one's ever suggested to us, hey, you should do this thing or you should do that thing. It's kind of all just been from, the old noggin. So if you guys have any, I shouldn't say that. We've had people write in for like, oh, which Joker is the best, which Batman is the best, stuff like that. We've done stuff like that before. But no one's ever said, hey, you should do these movies or you should do this series or whatever, So it's nice to kind of sit down and be like, okay, what can we do that would be fun for all of us, that's different, and, we'll kind of shake things up a little bit. So I'm happy to see, where that goes. So, Mikey, what's that face for? What are you doing that for?
He's just freaking out.
Oh, he's freaking out. Okay. Well, gentlemen, let's get into some news. What do you say? Yeah, it's time for some news. So Mikey wanted to say a baker's dozen. I already know he wanted to say it. Today we have 3 news stories that I found interesting. I think it's all from today, which is July 16th. The first story comes from The Verge. It's been it's been all over the internet, but it's regarding Destiny 2's latest expansion, which we're all Destiny fans here, I can say, right? Before we get into it, Caleb, me and Mikey have talked about it. What's your relationship with Destiny right now?
Loved the first game. Yeah, and then I just go back and forth with it. It's one of those things that it takes up so much time and commitment, and eventually you just run out of it. And I've played the first game and I think almost every expansion except for the last one. The second game I stopped right before what was the one where Cade got killed?
Oh yeah, Forsaken.
Yeah, so I never played Forsaken, and I honestly haven't touched it since then.
You haven't played Forsaken?
That's probably the best story.
That's like one of the best ones. We are okay. That's it. We're doing it. We're doing this. It's happening. You have to.
Oh God.
Me, you, and Mikey. Me and you and Mikey. It's a full fire team right there.
All you have to do is play that story, and then you can drop Destiny forever. It's such a good story.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you needed to have a bow wrapping moment,
your face.
Oh my God, yeah, it's priceless. Caleb does not want to go through Destiny. So this comes from The Verge. This first story: Bungie delays its next big Destiny 2 expansion to November 10th, citing the pandemic. Destiny 2 Beyond Light was originally scheduled to release on September 22nd. This comes from Cham Gartenberg. Okay, Cham Gartenberg. Reliable source. Writing for The Verge. So I'm going to read you guys a little bit of this. Bungie has announced that it's delaying its next major Destiny 2 expansion, Beyond Light, to November 10th due to the difficulties of development during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The expansion was originally set to release on September 22nd. It's quoted here, "As always, our goal is to make the coolest, most entertaining expansion we can possibly make for our fans. To that end, we are doing what's best for the game and moving the launch date," commented David Deege. How do you pronounce his last name? Daig? Commented David Deege, Bungie's community manager, in a statement. Deege. Well, I mean, yeah, obviously it's Deege. But, is that how you pronounce his last name?
That's his nickname is Deege.
Okay, well, Deege, that's what Deege said. He also says, "The past few months have been a challenge and will continue to be during this pandemic. We've learned to create together in a new way by having to work apart from one another. Despite these hurdles, we're still committed to the same level of quality that our fans expect." Okay, so November 10th from September 22nd. That's like 2 weeks. Literally.
It's like 6 weeks, but yeah.
November. It's like 6 weeks to November 10th. Oh yeah, because
there's a whole month named
right.
October.
Yeah. Right. I'm an idiot. September through September and October. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't pay attention to months. Still though, that's funny. I thought November came after September. Well, we don't celebrate Halloween, so there you go.
That's all of October.
Okay,
yeah.
so that makes more sense. I was listening to, or I was reading this today, and I was thinking about it. Is this expected? I mean, does this make sense to you guys? I'm gonna throw it to you, Caleb. I mean,
yeah, I guess I get it. I think game. I just watched a video today about this on YouTube, but it was after, I guess, one of the last Tom Clancy games that came out, and it was just like super broken and unfinished, and how kind of after that game, how that game did, it was kind of like a red flag for game studios to not put out games that are unfinished.
yeah.
And right now, in this situation the world is in with COVID-19, you could see how game studios could easily rush out a bunch of games that are unfinished because they haven't been able to go in and like work together to finish the games. And when you have something as big as Destiny, where they've literally spent like $1 billion+ on doing this thing, they can't really afford to rush out something that's unfinished and then for it to crash and burn, because it could literally sink their entire, franchise, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It seems like, a smarter thing is just like literally 6 weeks is nothing. I mean,
yeah.
When I think of delay, I think of Cyberpunk getting delayed like 6 months or something stupid.
Yeah.
And, people are dealing with that, I guess. I don't think anyone's going to not buy that game because it got delayed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I don't
Makes
either.
sense.
And I think that's kind of, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, to me, I don't think it doesn't warrant that big of a deal. I mean, I think that was, even without COVID, I think that probably still would have happened, to be honest. Just because I think that's kind of the name of the game right now, is doing things in such a way to where you almost delay for safety in a way. Like, think about a company as big as Epic, constantly delaying stuff for Fortnite. There was like a month or two delay in between seasons, and quote unquote due to COVID. It's just, I think it's easier now it's not easier. It just makes more sense nowadays for things to get delayed, even if it is just anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. So, Mikey, since you just put your headset back on, what's your take on this? Is this to be expected because of COVID for Destiny 2 getting its next expansion being delayed?
Is it because of COVID?
Yeah, that's what they cited, was because of the pandemic.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But also, I bet they're probably having to change a lot of stuff since they broke off from Activision. This is their first DLC without Activision, right?
No, the last one was. What
was the last one?
The last one was Shadowkeep. Shadowkeep was the last Destiny expansion. So,
but there really wasn't anything in that one.
Yeah, no, they introduced like the season pass, like kind of a Fortnite-esque thing. But I was like super hyped on it. I was like, wow, this is awesome! I can do whatever I want. But it was so convoluted, and like it felt like it was too much. But I don't know.
They got a lot of building to do, especially like not having the resources they had until they start seeing some serious revenue from even when people are getting those season passes. I think this, if they push this first one back, they probably did that because maybe partially because COVID, because everybody's struggling with that still. But it probably, they needed some breathers anyways because they thought it was ready.
That's kind of what I thought too.
With as big as they were saying it's going to be. So.
Yeah. Which,
I guess the COVID's a good excuse. I don't think anyone's going to fault them for that.
Yeah.
You can just kind of write off this whole year almost for anyone, and everyone, it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree with what you just said, Caleb. I don't think it's literally not an excuse. It's just a reason. It's kind of like, like I said, COVID is like literally the time to play it safe, just with whatever. And even maybe it's just fine. Maybe it's just finishing touches. You know what I mean? Like Last of Us Part 2 was literally done before they started shipping out copies and like getting things ready, and the game was done. It was literally just as a precaution to kind of go through, finish up some minor touches. That could be very much the things going on right now. I don't think there's anything huge to like speculate on of why they might be doing this. I think it is very much the thing of like what Caleb said. This is a huge IP. Why would you take the risk of releasing it if there is something wrong with it, period? And not to mention Destiny 2 has had problems in the past, like not to mention like they released content that was broken, basically. They knew it was broken. They've said in statements it was broken with the Prometheus lens and stuff like that, the gun, the trace rifle that got released and all that stuff. So so I think they're playing it safe here. The next news article comes from also from The Verge. From who wrote this one? This is by Tom Warren over at The Verge. It says, Microsoft to launch xCloud streaming free with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate in September. So, do you guys know anything about xCloud? Do you know what it is?
No idea.
So, xCloud is this service they showed off last year. I believe it was at the Game Awards or E3. Where essentially, if you have an Xbox account and you have Xbox games, you can stream your Xbox games to your phone.
Oh yeah.
It's
like almost them trying to compete with Stadia.
Exactly. That is exactly right. But like they, rather than obviously Stadia brought their stuff out, whenever they got on stage and like they showed games running really well with sterling internet connection. Of course, that's what's going to happen. But 5G is going to open up a lot of opportunities, going forward. It's kind of interesting to me, this whole thing, because it does turn to that thing of if I have internet that is fast enough to stream my games on my phone, why wouldn't I do that? Because of course I have Xbox games, you know what I mean? Then it does, because that thing of like, and the biggest thing is if you have Game Pass Ultimate, which I do, which is, I believe it includes your Xbox Live and Game Pass. It's $15 a month, and you'll get that free with xCloud, basically. Like xCloud will be included into that. So if you have Game Pass Ultimate and you want to stream your games, you'll be able to do that from your iOS or Android device. Now, in theory, that's what's supposed to work. I have a little bit of a write-up here. I'm going to read a little bit of it. It says, Microsoft is planning to launch its game streaming service, currently known as Project xCloud, free to its paying Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers in September. The xCloud service will allow Xbox players to play games on mobile devices or even start a game on their consoles and resume it on their phone or tablet. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate combines Xbox Live Access, an Xbox Game Pass subscription, and starting in September, xCloud game streaming into a single $14.99 monthly subscription. Microsoft is promising that more than 100 Xbox Game Pass titles will be playable on a phone or tablet when the streaming service launches. Microsoft isn't detailing which countries will be supported at launch just yet, though. The company has been building out of its Azure data centers across the US and in parts of Europe with Xbox One S blades to stream Xbox games through xCloud. Microsoft will upgrade these services to Xbox Series X hardware in 2021. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate will be the only way to access xCloud streaming at launch, but it won't always be limited to Microsoft's top subscription tier. So this is saying that Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is the only way to access this xCloud streaming service, period, at launch. That's the only way. So I don't know. I have something I want to say, but just out of everything that we just talked about and everything I just said, Caleb, do you have Xbox One games? Do you not? Or do you have Xbox 360 games?
Xbox 360 games. And my main takeaway from everything you just read is, man, that sounds great. Great for Xbox. Great for Microsoft. Still going to buy a PS5. That's basically where I'm at.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where if you've made the dedication to Xbox, and it doesn't say, it just says that there's going to be Xbox games available or Xbox Game Pass games available. So, it's not gonna. It may not be. You may not be able to play your personal games downloaded. Like you have to basically stream whatever, like very much like a Netflix. Like you can only stream the Xbox Game Pass games that are available on xCloud.
Why wouldn't you just get a Stadia at that point? Like, it's literally the same thing, right?
Yeah. So, well, see, that's the thing though, is Stadia can't run off of your cell data. So Stadia is wired into your home network. So that's the point of xCloud, is being able, as long as you have cell service, or 5G connection, 4G connection, you can stream your games wherever you want and not having to utilize your home internet for such a thing. That's been Stadia's downfall, is no one has, the vast majority of people, it's like, yeah, this isn't worth it. I don't have the internet that is, palatable or capable of streaming this thing.
And I just cannot imagine trying to play Halo on my phone.
Yeah,
it sounds terrible.
And I think it's one of those
so terrible.
I think it's one of those things too, where I've seen people. There's been some images kind of floating around the internet about like this clamp that goes around your phone that hooks into your like you use your controller to do it. But I'm kind of with you a little bit, Caleb. Like, I think here's my thing. Actually, I want to get Mikey's opinion first. Mikey, what do you think about this whole xCloud thing? And then I'll give mine afterwards. But what's your take away from this? Because you have Xbox One games, right? You have an Xbox. It'd be very easy to get an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to, but yeah, it would. I don't know. That's never something that's really interested me. I mean, it's nice having that option for many people. I mean, like, especially for a married person, if you say you want to play games, but your wife wants to watch TV, then you can stream your games to your phone and play your Xbox if you want to. But I don't know.
I mean, in that same regard, I can stream my PlayStation to my computer and play games over my computer. Any game that I have on my PlayStation. I mean, I can't obviously take my computer to just out in the wilderness somewhere and run it off cellular, but I could do it, on any Wi-Fi network.
Yeah, totally. Remote play.
I don't know. I could totally remote with my PlayStation.
I don't know. It's one of those things. I think it's interesting to see Microsoft going the direction of trying to be innovative, and this seems like a huge undertaking to do. And it's like, I see myself not playing Halo on my phone. I see myself playing maybe some indies or it's like if I wanted to, just hang out with my wife, but I want to, there's a game on my phone or a game on Xbox that I really want to play. I don't know. I just don't see how. I just don't know if this is truly going to play out the way Xbox wants to. And obviously, there's been a lot of mixed reactions on the internet about this. I think Xbox people are thinking to themselves, oh my God, this is amazing. This is so cool, blah, blah, blah. But to Caleb's point, we can do that right now with remote play. You know what I mean? And how many situations are you going to be in where you actually, how many situations are you going to be in where you actually are going to want to do this?
How many times has that actually happened?
Yeah.
It's not... The whole premise of it isn't like, I don't understand why they're investing in it, because it's not universal. It's situational.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
They're investing all that time and money into something that not everybody's going to use. So is it even worth it, really?
Yeah.
I mean, the only time I could ever think of myself using that is if I worked in the city, and from where I live, it's about a 2-hour train ride to the city. And a lot of people where I live commute to the city every day for their work. So I maybe just on the train for 2 hours playing a game on your phone would be cool. But if you're running over cellular too, the network is not going to be stable, even in New York, over that entire ride. And what happens when you drop out of 5G or drop out of 4G? It's like, what happens then? I don't know. It just seems weird. That's the only time I could ever even think of using it.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's a very interesting thing, because obviously Stadia kind of made the first move. Like, we heard about xCloud, what xCloud was around the time that Stadia was coming out. And Stadia has kind of shown that this whole cloud gaming thing, that it's like, oh, we're going to try and, streaming is going to be the next thing. Streaming will never be an option for somebody in an area like me, a rural area. Not going to happen. For a Stadia thing running off of my home network, there's no way. It's not going to happen. This is what Phil Spencer says. Here he goes. He says, we want to bring xCloud eventually to every screen that someone can stream games to. Right now, we're just saying mobile, says Spencer. There are discussions going on, and we're working through things. We'll talk more specifically about which mobile devices through August and September, and the September launch. It feels to me like this, there's a lot of buzz about this on the internet. It feels to me like they just want to be able to say that they're doing it better than anybody else, which is a very kind of, I don't know. It feels kind of Xboxy for them to do that. Like, okay, this is the one thing that we're the best at right now, which is Project xCloud. Stadia is obviously, you can get in a Stadia account for free right now. I mean, they're basically they were giving it away for a while. So I don't know. It kind of like what you guys are saying. It just feels, for the vast majority of people, it just doesn't feel like it's going to matter. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, this is the future of gaming." No, I do not think so. Like, not through this medium, not on your phone, like not on your. No way, absolutely not. Like, are you kidding me? I don't know. I just go ahead, Mikey.
This is just where Microsoft like gets me, because like I love Microsoft. I've been an Xbox fan forever, but like this is why I find myself slowly kind of. I've dipped my toes in PlayStation, and I haven't had a bad experience yet, and I've slowly been going over to it because like I love Microsoft, and I love that they want to innovate and they want to do different things, but it's about the games.
Yeah.
It's about video games.
Right.
Like, it's nice being able to play anywhere, but how are your games?
Right.
Like, they're so focused on what technology they have. They don't see that people don't want to play your games. They may want to play like your 4 heavy hitters that you put out, but I mean, and I could be talking out of my butt right now because we haven't seen their game lineup yet. But like, it just seems like they're just running around in circles on things that I'm sure not everybody doesn't care about, but a good portion of people don't care about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be mean about it, but I mean, I'm just like, it's just so frustrating to see a good company like that just seem like they don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's one way of putting it for sure.
It's just, it seems like they're making this thing and that's going to be appealing to a very niche, very small amount of their customers. And I feel like they could invest so much, and who knows, Microsoft is a huge company with literal endless amounts of money.
True.
So sure, they could do a billion different things at once and it not really matter, but like, why can't they just invest the time and just make me want to buy an Xbox?
Yeah.
I don't have any desire to buy an Xbox.
Thank you. That's exactly my point.
I don't have any desire
Same.
at all. And because I look at their lineup of games and I don't see anything there that makes me want to go and be like, well, I should buy an Xbox.
Right.
It just doesn't do anything for me.
I
And
totally
if you
agree
look at the exclusive games that PlayStation has, that's where I'm going to go every single time. It's that simple.
And it is one of those things too where I think we want to like Xbox. There's things we like about Xbox, but it kind of get, obviously we're going to see the event on the 23rd. Me and Mikey are going to cover that here right after it happens. Nothing blows my skirt up about this thing. This for sure doesn't make me want to turn, A, it doesn't make me want to be invested in what Xbox is doing, and B, it doesn't make me want to, it just kind of puts it in the back of my mind. It's like, why aren't you taking, and, it could be that thing where Sony's like, hey, our PlayStation Now service, which is $100 a month, or not month, I'm sorry, it's $20 a month.
What?
Yeah, like this PlayStation Now service is $20 a month, and it's exclusively streaming games. There's a handful of titles you can download to your PS4. But to them to keep it going, like I think their last physical sales year was like $100 million or something like that. Crazy. I don't, definitely if anyone's listening at this point and they want to correct me, you want to find those numbers. I think it was around $100 million. So to them, it's like, okay, it's a win, like for that niche group of people. But I don't know. I just don't understand why you would even do all of this work to update the servers and things like that, unless it's going to run flawlessly on it, like pretty much any network, which it won't. So I don't know. Don't want to
If it's glitchy even at all, it's going to be unplayable. It's going to be a disaster. They have to get it perfect for it to be a success.
Exactly. Which you could see,
which is not Microsoft's forte.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's this thing of, if it's a smaller screen and like there's less to kind of like there's no less archiving in the background and stuff like that, and like it's more snappier and stuff. We saw Doom. If you want to go back to the original xCloud, demo, they showed Doom running like near flawlessly, but that goes back to the thing of how good is the internet. I don't know. So we'll just see what happens. We'll see what happens. And, I think we can all agree Microsoft isn't doing anything to blow up our skirts right now. And it's kind of making us walk in the opposite direction and kind of be like, okay, like that was weird, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Well, gentlemen, what do you say we take a break and then we'll cover our last little bit of the show?
Cool.
All right. I got to pee so bad.
You didn't even have to say it. I knew it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thank you for sticking with us this long. We really, really appreciate it. We're going to be changing gears a little bit from gaming news to more general news that I found. It's one of those things. You read a news headline and you're kind of like, duh, like this should be the kind of the norm. You know, this should be a thing. And Mikey got up, so I'm gonna repeat it since he got up. We were just, sorry, Mike. You were just talking about how, you know, sometimes we read a headline and it's like this should be the norm, and we're kind of transitioning from gaming news to this other thing. This is what the headline reads: Walmart and Kroger will start requiring customers in U.S. stores to wear masks. Requiring. And this comes from Nathaniel Meyerson from CNN Business. Walmart will require customers at all of its U.S. stores to wear masks beginning next week, becoming the largest retailer to mandate facial coverings as coronavirus cases continue to rise. Other national chains made similar moves on Wednesday. Kroger and Kohl's announced they would start requiring all customers to wear masks, signaling that more retailers are lining up behind mask-wearing mandates. The National Retail Federation, the main lobbying group for the industry, also called on retailers to require masks for customers. Most major retailers and grocers initially hesitated to enact their own mask mandates for customers during the pandemic, partly over fears of antagonizing shoppers who refused to wear them. Retailers have said that they are reluctant to put their employees in the position of enforcing mask requirements. But the ground in the retail has shifted in recent weeks as the coronavirus pandemic worsens. More than 3.3 million people have now tested positive for the coronavirus nationwide, and more than 130,000 have died. Cases are climbing in much of the country, and many cities and states are reimposing restrictions to contain new outbreaks, including mask requirements in public settings. Those numbers, 3.3 million people have now tested positive, and 130,000 have died in recent weeks. So, I mean, that could be 2 to 4, I guess. What? But still, I mean, come on. Wear your freaking masks. How hard is it? How is it that all the science... I'm sorry, I need to, like, kind of rant for a second. All the science points to there is nothing impeding your breathing habits from wearing a freaking mask. There is a variety of masks out there that will prevent the virus from spreading. It has been proven. I mean, freaking New Zealand has 0 cases because of implementing similar strategies such as this. How freaking hard is it to put on a mask? Caleb, help me here.
So, yeah, there's a lot there. And I think I want to start this by saying, and I think I can speak for, I know I can speak for all 3 of us in saying, this is not something political.
No.
In this country specifically, whether you wear a mask or not has become a political statement. And when we are talking about this does not have anything to do about politics, because all 3 of us could give a crap about politics.
Yeah.
Like, we don't care.
Yeah, and let me just put a pin in that really fast, Caleb. Just so you know, Wannabe Critic Productions, don't bring your political crap here. None of it. I don't want to hear any of it. We are across the board neutral. We're here to talk about video games and trending topics. And guess what? A good trending topic right now is the fact that the vast majority of y'all aren't wearing your freaking masks. Caleb, sorry, continue.
So, it's just insane to me because I hate wearing a mask. I hate it. It sucks. Your face gets all hot. It's uncomfortable.
It stinks.
It stinks, and I can't wear my glasses when I wear a mask because they fog up and I can't see anything. So I hate it. And there's a reason why when there's not a global pandemic going on that people aren't walking around wearing masks. There's a reason for that, because no one would do that, because no one would prefer to do that. But if my wearing a stupid mask keeps just one person from getting sick and dying, then it's completely 100% worth it. So it's mind-boggling to me just how, I don't know, it's just crazy. I saw a news report today where the CDC said that if everyone just wore a mask, that in the United States, where it's, the worst in the entire world right now, this pandemic, if everyone just wore a mask,
Shocker.
this thing would be back under control in a month or two. Like, everything would be back under control. So it's just crazy. I mean, yeah, it's an obvious thing for Walmart to do and for any business to do. I think it's just like, yeah, just wear masks. It's such a dumb thing to even have to talk about, and I'm really, really tired of it. And
Yeah.
it sucks. The whole thing it sucks. But God, it's frustrating. It's really, 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 really frustrating.
Well, and just the fact that you will be rejected. You will be rejected service if you do not. And I don't know if it says it here in this particular article. I read another article. Starting the 20th. That's Monday, people. That's a few days from whenever this podcast drops. By the 20th, if you want to go to Kroger, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, like all there's adjacent articles I've read on the internet. They're implementing it. This isn't an option. It's a federal thing. Like, by the retailer, what was it called? The retailer organization or whatever it was. I can't find it. I'm sorry. But the official retail organization is saying, listen, this is so serious. Like, it really is a matter of life or death, because you could literally be a carrier of the virus and show zero symptoms. But if you go ahead, Mikey, I can tell you to say something. Please go.
It's just crazy, because I understand, like, people that do actually have breathing problems, but I mean, in my town, I live in Bella Vista, Arkansas. Come find me if you want. You can never find me. Its population is mainly older people. Me and my wife go to Walmart and get our groceries, and we do pickup, so we don't have to go in, right? You'll see 30 or 40 people go in and out of Walmart. Maybe 2 of them will be wearing a mask. And it's all the section of people that should be like, everybody should be worried, because everybody's responsible for spreading it and keeping themselves clean. But I mean, it's crazy to see all the people that don't care or are trying to do some sort of statement. I mean, it's simple. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and my thing... Go ahead. Sorry.
I personally love wearing a mask because it makes me feel like an outlaw in Red Dead. They don't
Get out of the dang way!
There's so few people wearing masks in my town that I feel like the odd man out, but it's also like, am I robbing it, or am I just being health and safety?
I'm Batman. And here's my thing too. I'm gonna be telling myself, have I forgotten to wear a mask before and going in public during this time? Yes, I have. Has it been that thing of...
I have too.
Everybody
I think everyone has. Are those things going to happen? Yes, but it's getting to the thing of, has there also been the time where I, just out of force of habit, get out of my car without grabbing my mask and go in and see, on my way into Walmart or a grocery store or whatever, and see people wearing masks, and then realize, oh crap, have I gone back to my car to get my mask if it's in there? Yeah. For sure. It's like, even if I'm parked all the way across the other freaking side of the whole thing, it's like, oh, I forgot about that. I completely forgot that I need to have a mask on. Go back to my car, put it on. It's not that hard. It goes back to the thing of just keep a mask in your car at all times. If you have multiple vehicles, keep them in your vehicles. Because, and if you think to do that, and you always have one in there, and you see someone walking in with a mask, and you say to yourself, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and go in here and endanger somebody else's life, you're a terrible person. Fact of the matter. And you're not welcome here.
Yeah. So
go ahead, Caleb.
No, I just have a funny story is along that same lines. Is a few weeks ago, I was going grocery shopping, and I'm walking up to the place, and I enter the grocery store, and people are glaring at me, and I'm like, man, why is my face so cold in this air conditioned grocery store? And I'm right at the entrance. I just grabbed a cart, and I'm like, crap, I forgot my mask. And I felt so embarrassed. And so I live in New York, masks are required everywhere. And it's just the glares I got from people. And I was like, God, I want to I should just leave. I should just so I went back and I got my mask. I was like, duh. But I felt so terrible. And I just, I was like, dang it. why did I do that? I was like, that was such a dumb thing to do. And
That's good though.
yeah, but I don't know. It's crazy. Like people's lives are more valuable than your comfort.
Yeah.
I think that's
Totally.
the thing. Like the principle. It's like the value of someone's life is way more valuable than my individual comfort, and especially when it's something that's not even that difficult to do, and it's not even that uncomfortable in the grand scheme of things. It's insane. But,
Well, and it's
no
like,
way
yeah.
affects your breathing. Especially, you don't even have to wear a surgical mask. You could just wear a bandana or anything
yeah,
to
yeah.
keep your face covered.
I just wonder, like, how many of these people are like just planning to like run a marathon that day, like from their breathing problem must
Right?
be. Like,
Good
it's just
Lord.
it's so funny. It's
Yeah.
I don't know, it's wild.
it is wild. Obviously, you know, internet's gonna internet. People are gonna people. You know, things are gonna be what they are. I just
Thing.
I thought that was a very interesting thing to talk about, you know, because obviously, and like I like you, you know, as you said, Caleb, this is not a political statement. This is a humanity statement. Like this is about being a good person and like showing respect for your fellow man. I mean, come on. Like you, as I said before, you could there's so much we still don't know about the virus. Like you could very much be a carrier and you wouldn't even know it. I mean, that's possible. Is it not? I mean, that is totally possible. I think that's totally how a virus works, is it not? I mean, you can be a carrier and show no symptoms and give it to somebody else. Wear your freaking mask.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I don't have anything else to say unless you do. I feel like that's going to wrap up our news articles for. I'm looking at Twitter right now just in case, you know, we can potentially see something that's breaking, but you know, nothing is breaking right now. So there you go.
I will throw out there's one stupid thing, and we don't have to dwell on this, but since I do like football stuff, the Redskins are a terrible organization. They're not even the Redskins anymore. They got rid of that name, thank God, because that's a terrible name. But they're a terrible organization who just had some really bad allegations about basically a bunch of female employees being sexually harassed. They're a terrible organization. That's all I have to say. And I'm glad that I am not a Washington football fan. That's crazy. It's crazy.
I heard about
crazy
this.
How incompetent that one football team is. It's insane.
I did hear about this whole thing. I was listening to a friend of the show. I don't know if he's listening right or if they're listening right now, but a Very Weird Fantasy. I was listening to them talk. I hadn't listened to any of their content in a while, and I heard them talking about this whole Washington Redskins debacle. Yeah, I mean, we know corruption within organized sports are there, do we not? Like in some way, shape, or form. Like Caleb, you're the resident. I mean, and even Mikey loves sport. You know, like sports more than I do. I play fantasy football every year. That's the extent of my sports knowledge, and I'm very interested in hockey. I think hockey's incredible. Is there not a level of kind of shadiness in every sports organization? Would you say?
I think to an extent, and at the end, like it's tough because I think that sports organizations have to balance being something that kids look up to while also being a major business and having to do everything for basically the bottom like line and just to get as much money as possible. And you get some shadiness in there.
Yeah.
That being said, there's definitely some sports organizations that are better than others and do things the right way or not the right way.
Totally.
For example, I think the Chiefs are a really, really well-run organization. You know, they have a owner who seems to, really try to, do things right. They do a lot of reach out in the community. They treat their players well. And from the top down, they seem like a good organization. Not perfect, because even their name is offensive to some Native Americans. And, I don't know. You can, have whatever thought you want to have about that, but plain and simple, that's offensive to some, Native Americans. And they don't really seem to have any interest in, trying to fix that. So, there's a give and take, but with the Washington, it's completely different.
Totally.
They've had some absolutely terrible stories when it comes to player safety and players getting injured. If you look in there's couple of players, such as like former Chiefs, quarterback Alex Smith, and just the terrible stuff that he's had to go through ever since he went to Washington. It's really tragic. But there's other offensive lineman who was just treated so terribly by their medical team, and their players explicitly don't want to have to go to Washington because of their medical team. Like, it's bad. But then like this, their owner, Dan Snyder, is just, he's terrible. And after the article that dropped today, it would not surprise me at all if the rest of the NFL owners try to get him to sell the team. I know that some minority owners in the team today are basically trying to get out and sell the team to other people because they don't want to have to deal with any of this crap anymore. Just like in any business, you're gonna have businesses that are run better and more ethical than others, and it's just Washington's is terrible.
It's amazing how the thought of cutting corners just can eventually snowball into just shady management in general with any industry. I think like that's with things have been coming out more in the games industry recently. Like there's a Me Too movement going on in the games industry right now, which you would think would be a pretty safe community, but it's not. And I think just things with all these different industries are just continuing to surface more and more, and it's a real shame that, the Redskins have such a horrible reputation, but, it is what it is. I think the Redskins and the Chiefs are definitely offensive to Native Americans. I mean, that's just as an outsider looking in. I'm not like an SJW or whatever. It isn't offensive. I think it could be interpreted as offensive to other people.
Redskins is a racial slur.
Totally.
It's a racial slur, and there's no getting around that.
No,
it's
zero.
Terrible. I don't want to have I'm in a habit of saying it because I talk about football so much, but I want to get out of that habit because it's a racial slur, and
Totally.
I would never call a Native American that to their face or behind their back.
Yeah.
It's a terrible name.
Totally.
Even their logo is terrible.
Uh-huh.
So, look, one of the funniest things, just to talk about the incompetency of their ownership and their management, is they've been talking about changing that name for years. And over the last 20 years, the team owned the trademark to the name Washington Warriors, just in case they ever needed to change it. Well, their trademark and how long they held that name, Washington Warriors, well, they let that go earlier this year. So now they don't have a trademark backup name. So Washington doesn't even have a name for their own team right now because they don't have a trademark. They can't name their team because they don't have the trademark to a name. And it's like they had one there and they could have switched any time before that, but they were reluctant to do it. And now they're in this dumb,
a horrible situation.
They can't sell merchandise. They can't, they're going to have like weird uniforms and helmets. Like it's super, super dumb. Like I can't even believe that these millionaire and billionaire people couldn't figure this out. It's insane.
It's kind of maddening. Yeah. And I mean, kind of going back to the Chiefs thing, like I think if you wanted to interpret it that way and take it that way, I definitely, that's fine. I understand. I can understand where people come from, but it's a completely different story whenever it comes to kind of what Cable was saying with the Redskins. So, yeah, and I mean, it doesn't come up often in my circle of friends with conversation, just because they haven't not to be mean, but the Redskins usually aren't worth talking about anyways, unless it's in a negative connotation, anyways. So,
they're a bad team because they're a poorly run organization.
Exactly. Period. Done.
Reflects onto the football field eventually.
I'd be okay with the Kansas City Arrowheads.
I'm thinking you could keep the name Chiefs and just move it all to like fire stuff, and you could totally rebrand it and it'd be super
stuff.
Yeah, like Fire Chief,
like that's a firefighter.
Like a firefighter thing.
That'd be kind of cool.
You could keep the same colors. You would not have to change anything.
You're not wrong.
All you would have to do is you'd have to get rid of all the Native American imagery in the arrowhead, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
Everything else you could stay the same.
Off topic, just popped in my head. Why is the Chiefs mascot a mouse?
because they're not going to have some white guy running around.
That is true, but I
Yeah.
just thought about that. I was like, why is it a mouse?
It's
That
not a
makes
mouse.
sense.
It's a wolf.
It's a wolf.
Is that a wolf?
Yeah, Casey.
Oh,
Wolf.
KC Wolf. Still the. Oh,
You're,
I guess.
you're
yeah.
thinking. You're thinking of. I'm sorry. You're thinking of Chuck E. Cheese. That's what you're thinking of.
Oh, right. Well, they look exactly the same, dude.
They do. It's
That'd be
kind of
cool to have a
uncanny. It is somewhat
It'd be
uncanny.
cool if they
a little
did
bit.
change the firefighters. They could have a Dalmatian
Yeah.
as their mascot.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. Well, we have that was our first news segment, ladies and gentlemen, where we talked about the news and we did it in wannabe fashion. And I'm freaking proud of us, gentlemen. We all brought something to the table. We all gave our opinions, and it went great. So thank you for making that happen. I hope you guys felt heard, Caleb. I hope you were able to blow off some steam about this whole Redskins thing.
Yeah, it's
there you go.
incredible. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. That is going to wrap it up for us here at Wannabe Critic Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank you for tuning in with us. We really appreciate it. As always, you can find us at wannabecritic.com. You can email us at geeklybiweekly1@gmail.com. A small little announcement. It's one of those things where I very much kind of restarted as the wannabe critic, and then as more people started to join, I was like, okay, it's time to kind of go back to a group type thing. So now, if you want to find us, you can definitely follow me. I'm Gabe Fast on Twitter. I'm also Shinobi_wannabe. That's my new Twitter username. You can follow us and what we're doing here at Wannabe Critic Productions on Twitter. That's the general way to find us. Caleb, where can they find you? Do you want people to find you?
Yeah, so on Twitter at ChiefNY18. You can follow me there. And like I said at the beginning, if you need to just, if I have some take that you don't like, you can attack me there. Bring it on.
There you go. He's ready. Mikey, do you want people to be able to find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at wannabe Mikey C and Mikey Collins. But don't attack me. I don't want your grief.
Just direct it all to me.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we're
over to the ginger.
Yeah, just throw it all to the ginger. He has no soul and he can take it. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously, if you want to get in touch with us, please do. Definitely stay tuned. I am just so excited for our content schedule and this weekly news, this weekly news segment that we're going to have. It's going to be a nice change of pace to kind of have news stories towards the beginning of our shows and then the review side of things coming in at the end. I think it's going to make for some interesting conversation. So definitely look out for all of our content. Definitely stay tuned because I announced 2 new shows tonight, or 2 new segments, I guess, 2 new mini shows. I announced The Office in Review, which is, reviewing The Office. Obviously, the Midnight Run, it's kind of paying an homage to Toonami from back in the day. We'll be going over anime, talking about stuff. The first show we're going to be talking about is Samurai Jack. Very influential on me. Lots of stuff I'm finding there in the first season. Yeah, good stuff. Mikey's gesturing for me, which is great. We have more stuff in the bank though that we're working on. That's kind of we're not ready to talk about yet. But there's a lot of cool things happening here over at Wannabe Critic Productions with some really cool people. So definitely stay tuned and continue to listen. And, obviously we don't expect you to ever feel like you have to support us in any sort of monetary way, but we definitely appreciate you just listening to the show. Yeah, Caleb motioning. You can go, if you do want to support us though in some way, you can go buy a t-shirt or something. We'll get a couple bucks off of it. It'll be cool and you'll be repping us as a brand. So also wanted to say that if you wanted to get a discount on better merchandise than what we have, you can go to popcultusa.com and you can use my personal code, _wannabecritic, to get 20% off some dope swag. So thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye, gentlemen.